coming, and we have Rebecca Street. She's a woman on a mission. Using play and storytelling, she works every day with kids and teens to help them rewrite their own stories and then begin their next chapters. She is a marriage and family therapist, unabashed introvert. So let's be kind to her tonight. This is not easy for an introvert. I'm like so extrovert. I'm like, what? It's hard for, okay, whatever. And the mother of two persistently affectionate cats. She has the best cats in the world. In her free time, she is a freestyle cook, avid traveler, and a devourer of books. This is her first storytelling show, and she's going to rock it. We're actually in the same book club, so it's awesome.
And I'm on guy duty. Aaron Smith is a cartoonist, architect, and writer living in Louisville with his wife and two ferocious house cats. They went from sweet and adorable to ferocious. That's an argument in a brewing. He is an extrovert who loves running, podcasts, improv comedy, and sharing great stories. This is his first storytelling event. Everybody, Rebecca and Aaron.
All right, so I'm going to take you back to a magical year, 2007. I'm a recent college graduate, and I've just gotten out of what turned out to be an incredibly toxic and emotionally abusive relationship with a woman. Let's call her Miranda. So the day after Miranda and I finally broke up for good after many false starts, I got a message from her on Facebook saying that she knew several people who wanted to kick my ass on her behalf. As such, a few weeks later, when I kind of started casually seeing a girl, and let's call her Valerie, I didn't put it on Facebook right away. I mean, we were new. It was a new relationship. We hadn't defined it yet. And it wasn't anyone's business except ours, right? Definitely not because I was afraid of getting my ass kicked. So fast forward a few weeks to my fraternity's Halloween party. Now, I was a recent alum, but I still had a lot of friends in the fraternity, so I got an invite. And Valerie lived in another city, so my brother was my plus one to the party. So we show up at the party, and there's this cute girl there named Rebecca. Now, Rebecca and I knew each other last semester in the fraternity. It was a co-ed fraternity, just to clarify that. We knew each other last semester. That spring, but we hadn't really talked a lot since the spring, and it was good to see her, but we hadn't corresponded very much. In any case, so the party is lame. There's no music, there's no drinks, there's no movies. Whoever was supposed to plan this thing dropped the ball. So I love Halloween. Halloween is the best time of year for me, and I am determined to not lose a Halloween. So I thought, okay, it's Lexington. The haunted trail at Jacobson Park is supposed to be amazing. Let's all go to that. Let's blow this party. We're going to go to Jacobson Park. I get a lot of kind of, maybe, I don't know. And then I got two solid yeses, one from Rebecca and one from a mutual friend of ours named Jimmy. Now, I noticed that Rebecca and Jimmy had been talking to each other pretty much throughout the night, pretty consistently, to the point where I began to kind of wonder, is there something going on between Jimmy and Rebecca? I mean, power to them. In any case, we head to Jacobson Park. I'm calling people the whole way. Everyone else sounds like they're going to call it an early night. You know what? Fine. Still Halloween. We get to the haunted trail. We get our tickets. We go through the sort of haunted house part of it. Rebecca clinging to one of each of our arms with her eyes squeezed shut. Seriously, it's like she doesn't even like this stuff. So at the end of the trail, it's still Halloween. The night is young. Let's go back to my place and watch some scary movies. Jimmy and Rebecca both say, sure, this sounds like a great idea. So we're going back to my place. I'm still calling people. What are you guys doing? Everyone's asleep already or calling it a night. It's like no one likes Halloween as much as me. So we get to my place, we turn the movie on, Rebecca settles herself between me and Jimmy on the couch. We're watching the movie. 30 minutes in, Jimmy falls asleep, and Rebecca is clinging to my shoulder throughout most of the movie. It's the original Dawn of the Dead. It's not even that scary. So about an hour into the movie, something occurs to me. Does Rebecca still have feelings for me? Wait a second. But if that's the case, why did she bring Jimmy along for this whole escapade? I don't get it. And in any case, I'm kind of in a relationship. She doesn't know about Valerie. Nobody does. I haven't put it on Facebook yet. And she lives in another city, so no one's seen her around. So the movie ends. Jimmy wakes up. The two of them leave together. And now what do I do? Was that a date? Was I just on a date? If that was the case, what was with this other guy here this whole time? So am I supposed to now call her and tell her, by the way, this wasn't a date, just so we're clear. If she thought that, I would make her feel terrible. If she didn't think that, I would look like a goddamn idiot. So what options have I got? I'm in a completely untenable situation, and then it occurs to me I have one semi-safe option at this point. I can go on Facebook and I can change my status to in a relationship. Maybe no one would notice that I hadn't done it prior to this night. Maybe it would be fine, and maybe years later years later after seeing some therapy, I would come to the conclusion that I have intense ADD and intense situational anxiety, so I'm a bit of an overthinker. So that's what I do. I change my Facebook status. Pray to God no one looked at my Facebook prior to earlier in that evening. And I go to sleep. And I wouldn't hear the rest of the story for a number of years. And I wouldn't hear that she actually doesn't like scary movies for even longer than that. But now, Halloween is our favorite holiday. Thank you, guys.
Okay, so my childhood was probably a little bit too deeply colored by Disney movies. So by the time I got to college and really started dating, my perception of what a relationship looked like and how you meet your partner was a little unrealistic. So, I definitely had this idea of, you meet your Prince Charming, you see him from across the room, and you know. So when I walk into this fraternity rush event and I see this gorgeous guy across the room, I knew. This was the guy that I was going to marry. Yep. Unfortunately for me at the time, he had a very inconveniently located long-term girlfriend. I had a boyfriend at the time, but he didn't really seem so inconvenient to me in that moment. But I decided, okay, well, he has a girlfriend. We'll be friends. It was his senior year, it was my freshman year, and I go home to South Carolina for the summer, single and very hopeful. This was the early years of Facebook, so by the time I came back to school in the fall, I knew that he had broken up with his girlfriend, and I was on notice. But because they had been together for a long time, I decided I would be really, really, nice and play the slow game. We'll be friends. I'll be fun. I'll be cool. I'm not going to be high maintenance about this at all. It didn't occur to me that he would ever think about dating anybody else. I was 19. Just throwing that out there. So we had talked a little bit over the summer and hung out a couple times over the fall. He lived with his brother, and Graham and I are friends as well. And so fast forward to the fraternity Halloween party, where he walks in with his twin brother, dressed as Fred and George Weasley. Now, those of you that know me know how much I love Harry Potter, and there was nothing more perfect I could have imagined than him walking in with his twin brother, dressed as Fred and George Weasley. So I am sitting frozen in my Princess Peach costume, just begging to God that it was both cute and nerdy enough for him. So, as you've already heard, it was a pretty lame party. And so that, things were winding down pretty quickly, and he gets this great idea that we're gonna go to this haunted trail at Jacobson Park. Just want to be really clear. I hate scary things. Like, really fucking hate scary things. The time before this that I had been to a haunted house, the guy tried to grab me and I punched him in the face because I was so scared. But because I was a hopeless romantic and maybe a little bit of a masochist, I decided that I was going to go, thinking that, like in most romantic comedies, which I consumed far too many of as a child as well, he was going to realize in a moment alone that he was in love with me. He clearly wasn't thinking the same thing because he invited the entire party. So our buddy Jimmy decides he also wants to go, and Jimmy and I have become friends. He was the big brother of one of my initiate class members, and so he and I had a lot in common. We both loved soccer and stuff, and had been hanging out a lot, but didn't think that Jimmy was interested in me at all. So we ride out, because he lived on campus too, so like we lived on the same end of campus, so we ride together to stuff a lot. So I rode with him and did this haunted trail, and then like nobody else showed up. And so I'm clinging on to both of them, being like, I just gotta get through this, I'm gonna survive, hopefully no one's gonna kill me with a chainsaw. And because I really hate myself, when we got done, I decided I would go back to watch Dawn of the Dead at his house. Again, I really fucking hate scary things. But Jimmy falls asleep, and I'm like inching closer, like, this movie is really scary. Okay. Trying to be real cool. And then he puts his arm around me. And it's cold, so he gets out a blanket, and I'm thinking, maybe he does like me. Okay, that's a little ahead of schedule, but I'm not mad at it. So the movie gets done, and Jimmy, again, lived on the same end of campus as I did, so he takes me home. And I have been checking Aaron's Facebook religiously since he and his girlfriend broke up. So I had definitely checked it before the party. And I get home, and I'm telling my dorm friends about this, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy I've been telling you about, I think he might like me. And we pull up his Facebook, and he's in a relationship with another girl. So, 3 years later, when he finally got his act together and asked me to marry him, he took me to a corn maze knowing that he could never take me back to a haunted house. And that is why Halloween is our holiday.
The corn maze is where I proposed.
Oh, that is so cute.
That's like after the fact points, dude. That's not fair. We can all add shit after our stories are done, but come on.
Disregard that last statement. Strike it from the record.
Strike it from there.
You did not hear that?
Corn maze never happened.
And I like the idea of you proposing in the corn maze, and then you're both lost, and you're like,
Corn maze!
I hope we like each other. Yes.
It did almost happen.
Okay.
They were never heard from again, the hopeful couple.
All right.
All right, so we're going to do it a little backwards this time, and we're going to go with the person who went second first for applause. And I know we're mixing it up. So everybody who thinks that the winner is Rebecca, give it up. Oh, no.
All right. If you believe Aaron is the winner, give it up, please.
I blame Randy.
I actually did rev up Rebecca a little better than. She goes, if you like Aaron.
Cackled into the microphone.